Hello, beautifuls. This is a reading for Libra. Now, I apologize. When I was doing the readings at the start of the month, somehow, Libra, you slipped through my fingers. And I will honor that maybe this is a better timestamp for those of you with a lot of Libra in your chart for you to engage in the information that comes through. So it will be a slightly different reading because we're already into April. And we've made it through the solar eclipse and the eclipse portal, which was very dense for some. The energetics were forceful in some areas, and change was definitely upon us. Now, some of us went willingly and some of us didn't, and none of it's perfect. It really has to do with your pathway of evolution, how you want to go through the depths. It is a shedding. So, I think we tend to forget that we're not really here just to align with comfort. We're not really here just to get through it or hang out in 3D too much. We're here for evolution. We're here to learn and grow. And because of our egos, a lot of us don't go willingly. We want to stay comfortable. We want to pursue sometimes an empty sense of success. We want to live out our programming. We just want to do it the way our parents did it. Whatever it is for you, the universe has more in store. The universe really wants you to learn and grow and come into your full potential. And a lot of the time, what we're programmed to see as success isn't our full potential. It's really just a place of often materialistic comfort. So we do have a collective South node in Libra, which means we are tying up, understanding, purging a lot of Libran themes that aren't serving us as a collective. You might have a personal South node in Libra too, which means those themes are more prominent for you. But I wanted to pull this reading through as a way for you to navigate the rest of the month, which is a pretty high intensity month astrologically, but also collectively, shamanically. We are in a very potent time. We have some really beautiful waves of evolution behind us, and it's really up to us whether we want to ride the wave, resist, and how both resistance and riding the wave can change our belief system, can open us up to new paradigms, can allow some of our shadow to come through for us to change the subconscious programming, to update the ego so we don't stay the same forever. It's not what we're intended to do. Interesting. I'll do a 3-card reading, which is a story at 3 depths. And we're going to have an anchoring theme of 3 of Wands. Yeah, so we're looking out into the world from a place of creative pursuit with this dreamlike understanding that we can have whatever timeline we want. We can create the things that make our heart sing, but we do have to leave the shore of comfort. No creative pursuit is going to be life-changing if we create with comfort in mind. And any artist would tell you that. When we fully give up other people's expectations and we allow ourselves to come out of comfort and into the unknown, particularly when there's resistance and narratives around what are people are going to think, I'm probably not going to make any money from this, what if it's not good? These are really the questions that are spurring us forward into creating a new pathway for ourselves. So if the South Node's in Libra, we're really looking at detaching from or transmuting or evolving from the darker shadow areas of Libra, because Libra is an excellent quality and frequency to tune into, but we're probably purging out the codependency, the people pleasing, the not speaking up for the sake of harmony in a group. All of that sense that it's up to us to create balance at all times and making sure that we're moderating according to the group's needs. Because the North Node in Aries means that we are trying to trailblaze, we're trying to make a new path, we're trying to get out there, get it done with as much courage as possible. And this card talks to me about, how much courage and what does it take to actually leave the shore of all that diplomacy and all that harmony. We do need to tip the boat a little bit in order to get out there and pursue the creative pursuits that will put us into a new chapter, put us into a new sense of evolution, personally, individually, and collectively. And April seems to be the month to do it. And it's not overly comfortable for many, but we have a lot of transits and a lot of energy creating that stirring, and just enough stirring to make a lot of people agitated, which provides an invitation towards what are we going to do about it, right? There's one sense of how do we uphold nervous system regulation, self-care, respectful conversations in our relationships, building our dreams while we're in a sense of agitation? Or do we take the agitation, freak out, reinstall our old programs around not being good enough, which is what society has programmed us with, completely sabotage all our projects, or go and create drama and chaos in our relationships, right? We're really holding the tension here, and that's what it is. It's holding tension. And can we hold tension in our body, understand when the narratives are relaying disharmony, which means observe your mind, don't be your mind. When your mind is going, oh, but what about this? And that's too scary, and I shouldn't do that. And maybe, blah, blah, blah. Can we actually align with purposeful action towards what we feel we need to do for our own evolutionary pathway, knowing that that stuff's scary? He's thinking about which boat he can jump into to create the next life-changing project, the next purposeful alignment, the next people, places, experiences, environments that will fuel his soul and spark his passion and keep him in touch with the world. But it's out there. And he doesn't know the exact boat to get into. And he's not using intuition. It's not a cups card, it's a wands card. There's going to have to be a level of courage, impulse, and instinct that puts him onto the right timeline. So let's have a look. What can you see, those? Ooh, cool. Okay. First place of contact, first conversation comes through with the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is really saying it's this young energy around how do we think differently? How do we actually change our belief systems? How do we have the conversations necessary to be in touch with those timelines? If you're a person that is blinkers on, one way is the highway, and I can't take an exit, it's probably not you, Libra, but you might be in this control mindset of, I just have to get it done. I just have to take this path. This is the only path. Page of Swords comes in and says, well, what if it's not? What if there's 56 other timelines that you can't see representing your future? And we're worried about what the right one is. Whereas let's say, you're going somewhere, you've got to travel far, the journey's going to be difficult and challenging. But once you get to a destination, you'll actually be like, oh, this is really cool. No person getting on a 24-hour flight says, this is going to be fun. It's usually like, well, it's uncomfortable and the seat's too small. And, it's meant to be a bit of an arduous journey to get there. But Page of Swords is telling me, you haven't considered all the timelines and all the journeys you could be taking to spur you into the next phase. Have you considered how many times it could go right? Have you considered how many opportunistic, positive timelines there are for you to explore? Have you considered the ones that will work out very well, even though the initial courage push is hard? And have you sat down thoughtfully to understand them all? And yes, some timelines are not going to be comfortable. Some are going to be dense and dark and painful and hard. But think about where we're trying to get to. And it's really important for you to speak out loud your intentions so that your guides can actually hear you, so the universe can hear you. Anyone can think anything, right? And you can think negatively about a million situations, and they say that contributes to how you act. But I believe you can also hold the tension, Libra, of being in doubt and fear in your mind and still saying, well, I'm going to do it because it serves me. And think about just before you go into a new experience, before you get on the plane, before you start a new job, before you move house. It's very natural for you to be like, have I thought of everything? You know, what if something happens? What if the plane comes down? What if the house isn't there? What if I don't like it? This is all normal resistance. And I know a lot of people that stay stuck in inaction because their mind is telling them that things could go wrong. But courage says, I'll do it anyway, right? Aries says and season says, I'll do it anyway. No one else is going to do it. I'm doing it. So Page of Swords is asking me, why don't you grab a pen and paper and write down timeline after timeline, how it could go right in many different ways that you'd be okay with, how it could come out as a fairly neutral experience, which is like, well, I'm not super into it, but it's okay. I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose any money or any time and energy, and I gained a lot of experience. And then actually call out the timelines that you're focusing too much on, where you're deciding it's not going to go well, and it's probably a sense of failure, right? Your ego is painting that picture, but there's all this other stuff that Page of Swords wants you to see. And it might be conversations with different people about, hey, like from your perspective, if I do this, this, and this, how do you think that's going to play out? Like, how would you, from an outsider's point of view, see that playing out? And their mind will say, well, it might end up here because that's happened to me before. Or it might end up here. That's what happened to a friend of mine. Or have you considered this? If you jump into that boat and get onto that shore, have you considered this? So we need to open up the parameters of the mind to consider how many timelines are available so that you know how you're going to move forward. This is your anchor point. You are looking for a timeline that gives you a full sense of emotional and spiritual fulfillment, that puts you in touch with your tribe, your soul family, your community, whatever that is for you, which means that everybody around you is healthy and happy and vibrant. That's your anchor point. Page of Swords says there's a million ways to get there, and you're not considering all of them, right? We want you to dream a little bit bigger. We want you to have this as your anchor point so that you can actually consider all your options. It's not a fight and flight response is I stay or I go, that's it. That's your ego saying I either do something exciting or I stay exactly where I am, but either way, I'm locked up in fear. We need to consider how many timelines there are to get to the 10 of Cups, which is in how many ways can I create this sense of community and fulfillment for myself so that you can then work out how you're dancing with the devil, which means how you're distracting yourself, how you're getting caught up in the material world, how you are making yourself busy so that you never think about your spiritual purpose. Because guess what this card is about? Getting out there into the unknown and finding who you really are and finding what the world really means. So the devil talks about being chained to the 3D. And there's comfort in it, isn't there? There's something about being chained to the 3D and life being simple that we secretly love. But what about purpose? What about spiritual nourishment? What about the bigger mission? That's what I'm saying. This part isn't about comfort. It's about understanding what's out there for you that might light you up with a sense of purpose. I'm not saying quit your job, leave your partner, get on some random flight to some random place. I'm saying, are you getting too caught up? Are you focusing on the day-to-day too much? Are you keeping yourself too busy? Are you you're tied into dopamine responses. So is it all about scrolling and coffee and socializing and like getting a new car? The devil really talks about, if you know that that stuff is enticing and you can decide from a very level place whether you want that association or that level of dopamine, and that's where we hope for, so that you're making those decisions. I mean, there's nothing wrong with materialism. It's more that it can be so captivating that people get stuck there, and then there's an emptiness to life. They're chained to it. That could come through as addictions, overindulgences, spending your money on things that are empty, because this is not empty. This is incredibly full. This is what we're looking for. This is soul family. And again, it doesn't have to be DNA family. It can just be the right people around you, providing the right influence and frequency, filling up each other's cups, bouncing off each other, so that you have that deep sense of satisfaction, which will make everything else maybe that you've worked towards and everything else in life just not quite right. But we can purge this, which means if you do find the right relationships and you do find the right fulfillment, and that can be the right job as well, the right environments that fuel you and who you are, not what other people think you need, not how other people do it. It's really getting that creative flare out and saying, well, do I want to work in a group of people? Do I want to work on my own? Do I want to be in touch with people every day? Do I want spontaneous connection? Do I want regular time or more time with my friends? Do I want less time with my family? Do I want more time with my family? Do I need mentors and coaches to provide a sense that my parents can't? Whatever it is for you, then we purge out the distractions which are not serving you, keeping you chained to what ifs, doubts, and fears. And be okay to pivot, right? Because the Ten of Cups comes in different forms in every step of your life. Ten of Cups maybe was, the happiest you've ever been was at school, when you were surrounded by your friends and you were learning and there was heaps of people around, and that's cool. But now in adult life, you might like more solitude, more time alone, and that's cool. What is it that you need to fulfill yourself? How are we going to get there? There's 1,000 ways to get there. And which way is going to purge out all of the sabotage that is currently playing, so that you can get out there and get on that boat, get on that creative project. It does have a hint of travel in it, but I don't want to read in that 3D way. I want the travel aspect to be going into the unknown and into uncertainty. That could be sitting down to a creative project that you've never tried before. That could be signing yourself up for writing a book, creating a deck, making a song, creating an album, an online course. You don't know how you're going to get there, but it's really on you to decide that that pathway is available, and you're going to start somewhere, and you're going to be open to doing it in creative ways and pivoting when you need, and talking to the right people that give you ideas, and putting yourself in touch with those people. Ten of Cups talks about a community aspect. It's not all you're on your own. You're not doing this all on your own, but you need to purge that out, because that could be the distraction. Ooh, one shadow card, Black Panther, number 20. Yep, this is from the Stalk Your Shadow Oracle deck, which I did create and is available for you if you'd like to get into it. Black Panther is a very strong totem. And I have a lot of students navigating their birth totem as Black Panther, and there is always a calling. It is a calling into a divine feminine knowing, and it's a Black Panther. So you're going to pass through the shadow portal. You're going to pass through everything that feels not nice to get there. When the Black Panther birth totem comes in, most people are either already in it or started a passageway through their shadow, the darkness, the unconscious, to find out where the divine feminine is. A lot of the time it comes through with masculinized females that are high achievers, beautiful control freaks, needing that power, but doing it in a masculine way. When the divine feminine rises in them, it is a much more powerful force. It settles their nervous systems, their bodies come into harmony. They are all-knowing, high intuition, high senses. They don't lose that power and that sense of control, but generally what happens is they learn how to serve humanity better. They learn how to nurture and nourish themselves first, and they have keen intuition, which says, I know which timeline's available for me and I'm going after it. And they're deep in thought and reflection, and they're generally going into the depths more rather than staying on the surface. And I see this beautiful anchoring of them within themselves saying, oh, now I actually know how much power I have. And we can balance that masculine and feminine. So Black Panther doesn't muck around. And we talk about, if there's something you fear in other people, it's also within you. If there's something you're judging in other people, there's something you don't want to look at within yourself. So have a look at where you are sitting in the pain of projecting and blaming outside. Turn the mirror around so Black Panther can see itself, and sit in your own pain, which is an incredibly high integrity place to sit, and say, what can I not see that I fear? Whatever you label them with, have a look at that same quality within yourself, and you will see all of this playing out. Control mechanisms, self-sabotage, egotistical stuff, distractions. Black Panther will show you the way. If you have the skills, go on a journey with Black Panther, and you will sense how much power, and they often lurk in the shadows. Yeah, they're an ultimate force. So that can be a sense of achievement in a different way. It's not as showy as it used to be. It's actually incredibly private at times. It's, you know where you're going, you know you have the power to do it. Stop wasting your time making sure that everyone validates that pathway. Get out there and do it at a depth that nobody's doing it. Yeah, it's still a big cat. It still thrives on outward displays of sovereignty and power. So don't get too caught up. All right, Libra, I love you. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry it's so late. Much love. Bye.